It's finally Friday.
It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome back to the Friday Show, presented by Woodbine Racetrack. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick. We're glad you could be with us. Coming up, the Pegasus World Cup and an unusual incident at Del Mar. But first, the list of 2017 graded stakes comes out today, and we haven't seen the whole list, but we know about a couple of changes. The Bluegrass Stakes and the Wood Memorial are being downgraded from Grade 1 to Grade 2. The Pennsylvania Derby is getting an upgrade to Grade 1 status. So, Ray, let's explain first how this takes place. What are the criteria for this?
The American Graded Stakes program is administered by the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association, which has racing secretaries, owners, and breeders involved. And they look, first of all, the purpose of it is not for tracks to promote their races or whatever. It's traditionally based on cataloging of horses. So when a horse is sold, someone looks and sees, this was a Grade 1 race, or this is a Grade 2 or a Grade 3 race. It helps buyers understand the quality of races horses competed or won in. So the Graded Stakes Committee once a year takes a look at all of the eligible races. They have different criteria. The most important probably is what did the horses in each race do before and after this particular race? Were they Grade 1 winners, Grade 2 winners? Were they just allowance winners? Whatever. And they look at 5 years. They look at a lot of numbers for those 5 years. And they basically, the grades are determined by the statistics that come out involving what they call quality points and also percentage of graded stakes winners in a field.
Well, when you say percentage, to my mind, I'm thinking of the Bluegrass Stakes usually having a 12 to 14 horse field, while, say, the Wood Memorial usually is a little bit less than that. So if it's a percentage, isn't that a little unfair?
But that's only one of the factors. I think the committee, they look at each of the criteria individually. And if I have any fault with the committee, and by the way, this is not the first time the Wood or the Bluegrass have been downgraded. Both were downgraded in the late 80s and early 90s. And then the strength of the fields got better, and they were moved back up to Grade 1. So was the Arkansas Derby, was downgraded to Grade 2. And then it had such a fantastic run with the quality of its fields that it went back to a 1. But if I have a problem with the committee, it's that they have too many Grade 1s. And, we've had a reduction in the number of races. We've had a reduction in the full crop, but we've had an increase in Grade 1 races and, in fact, an increase in graded races. So I think it's smart that they're pairing some of these Grade 1 races, and they really should probably, to be fair, get rid of some of the Grade 2s and Grade 3s as well.
Yeah, but they said this year that this is part of a concerted effort to pare down the Grade 1s,
right,
even things out a little bit vis-a-vis the full crop. And honestly, when it comes to those two races, it's not really going to affect them because they are points races for the Kentucky Derby. So horses that want to get into the Kentucky Derby, and face it, anyone who has a good 3-year-old wants to get in the Kentucky Derby, so they are still going to go in the Wood. They're still going to go in the Bluegrass to get in. So I don't think it'll have that much impact on the Kentucky Derby trail. There will be a new Grade 1, though, and that is the Pegasus World Cup. We've talked about this throughout the year, and at varying times, we've had the opinion that it's going to be a smashing success or a complete and total failure. Where are we right now?
Where we are right now, I think, is that it is on the rise because of a couple of horses that won over the Thanksgiving holiday. In Midnight Storm, who won the Native Diver out in California, and Connect, who won the Cigar Mile. And neither of the owners of those horses have purchased a slot in the starting gate for $1 million. However, there are several owners that have slots in the starting gate but don't have horses. So they are introducing themselves to each other.
That's exactly what I think Frank Stronach had in mind about this. Right. It's a new concept. It's creating a market around this race, and that doesn't exist for any other race throughout the year anywhere. So I think his idea is starting to take hold, that you have these people jockeying with the people that have the money, the people that have the horse, and they're negotiating. And it creates a level of interest before the race that doesn't exist for other events. So I think they're on track with this thing. And you mentioned Connect and Arrowgate and Chrome, and you think about Keen Ice and Opportunity probably getting in there. Highland Reel, the turf winner from the Breeders' Cup. So the field might turn out to be not too shabby.
As Chad Brown, the trainer of Connect, said, $12 million is a lot of money.
Exactly. All right, let's move on and talk about an incident that occurred at Del Mar the other day.
Then we come back to Simi's Temple, been followed by Ballaluma. Movette is up alongside of them. Then back to Tibertina and Journey Home. Oh, a little bit of scrimmaging on the turn here.
Obviously, you can see on the turn there that there are things on the turf course that aren't supposed to be there. It turns out they are foam covers for drains inside the turf course at Del Mar, and they blew off because of windy conditions. Now, the question is, should the race have been called a no contest? Should they have done something? They didn't do anything. They didn't make any change. Why not?
Well, thankfully, nobody was injured. No horses were injured. No jockeys were injured. It could have been disastrous. The stewards, according to California Horse Racing Board rules, had to determine whether or not more than half the field was impaired by those objects that blew onto the turf course. And in their opinion, less than half the field was impaired. So they let it stand. There's so many things to consider. It's not just, there's multi-race bets. How do you treat it if you call it a no contest? Are all those bets refunded? It could have serious financial consequences. And also the owners of these horses would be losing purse money if it's called a no contest. So there's a lot of factors. I don't know if it was the right decision or not. All I can say is they need to have somebody standing on those drains when they have a windy day, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those situations that's hard to prepare for or prevent. But, now maybe in the future, other tracks and Del Mar will think about those kinds of things. If the conditions are windy, rainy, whatever, you got to think, oh, shoot, you got to watch out for those covers. But, and you mentioned the purse money thing. It's not just that. The owners lose a start. They lose a start, so their horse has to wait another few weeks in all likelihood to start again. So, yeah, like you said, there are a lot of factors that go into it. We're just thankful it wasn't worse.
Yeah, it's there's 1,001 ways to lose a horse race, and now there's 1,002 because I've never seen that before.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show presented by Woodbine Racetrack. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.